Hello, this is the American Report Card. I'm your host, Terry Burris. Thank you for joining us. The global pandemic of 1918, the world called the Spanish flu, infected about a third of the world's population, with about 500 million people being infected. In March of 1918, the pandemic was discovered in Haskell County, Kansas, and then Fort Riley Military Base, also in Kansas, where about 500 troops were immediately hospitalized with the flu-like symptoms. Many of these soldiers were eventually shipped to Europe to fight in the First World War that was going on at that time. The Spanish flu virus spread quickly around Europe to ally and enemy troops who were falling ill. The soldiers who were returning home in August of 1918 were also being deployed on troop ships globally, where they spread the virus more to their fellow soldiers and to family and friends around the world. By September of 1918, outbreaks were reported all over the United States. The Liberty Loan Parade in Philadelphia that took place on September 28th in 1918, 2 days later after the parade, hospital beds were filled. The Spanish flu scientists said this was different from the regular strains of the regular flu. The normal flu usually affects the elderly, the very young, or people with weaker immune systems. But the Spanish flu seemed to affect a specific age range of people who were typically healthy from the ages of 20 to 40. Although the pandemic lasted for about a year, its third and severe outbreak took place in the spring of 1919 in America, as people were so frightened of not even waking up the next morning. Even President Woodrow Wilson himself contracted the virus. But it gradually subsided at the end of the spring in 1919, and businesses were allowed to gradually reopen. Now, the word flu itself comes from the word influenza, Latin meaning influence of the stars, which later we just call the flu. It has no cure and has been around for centuries. It can usually be warded off with rest and nutrition to strengthen the immune system, which will eventually reduce and eliminate the problem. But the United States and the international authorities didn't want to take blame for the Spanish flu. So they actually intentionally named the flu after the neutral country in the war, Spain. Hopefully, we can learn a lesson from the Philadelphia Liberty Loan Parade of 1918, when 2 days later, the outbreak were in the masses that took place around the city and around the cities and around the United States. Too fast of an opening may prove fatal once again. And now that massive protests, gatherings are going on around the United States and globally due to police brutality and racism, let's just hope the coronavirus can be controlled and contained. This is the American Report Card. I'm your host, Terry Burris. Thank you for joining us.